on C++, data types and variables. Today you'll learn what a variable is, how to initialize one, and some of the different basic data types that you'll come across. This might all sound a bit confusing, but don't worry, you'll understand it all by the end of this video. Prerequisite knowledge. You should already know how to basic program structure. That's literally all you need to know for this video, apart from the stuff that I'll be teaching you, of course. So, variable declaration. What is a variable? Variable is like, let's think. A variable is like a container that can store something. So, say if I have a box that I call score, for example, and inside that box I want to record what the score is. In this case, it's 20. So I will just write here. Think of this as a container to put in a value and to store it. This is the value that you want to give to score. And of course, this bit, which says int, we're going to cover. But basically, it tells you what type of container score is. So if it is, I don't know, a text container, then this, instead of int, will be string, because it needs to hold a string of text. If you wanted it to be a decimal number, then you'd write float instead of int. So yeah, so you'd write float. And then obviously here you would write a decimal number. So yeah, let's move on. So let's start at the beginning. What does this int mean? It is the data type. It basically tells the computer what type of variable score will be. By the way, variable just literally means it can vary, and you can, yeah, basically it can vary. You can set it to something and you can make it change. So the int bit tells the computer that it is an integer, and the score will only ever be able to hold integers. Score is the next part. This is the variable name. This is how you can reference score from other parts of code. So if I have, for example, if in the main function I say int score equals 20, and then right underneath I need to say, oh, what was the score again? I just write, if I want to work out the value of score, I just write score, which is kind of easy. Then the equal sign. It's not even an equal sign, which is where people sometimes get confused. This is called the assignment operator. And what this does is it sets the value of the new int score to 20. 20 equals int score does not work because it explicitly sets the left-hand side to the right-hand side, not the other way around or anything. It tells the computer that 20 is the value that you want score to be. So obviously 20, here we are. This is the value of the variable. This is what you actually want to assign to score, or what you want score to hold. And then finally, and probably the most important part of all, is the ending semicolon. This is very important. On any statement or line of code, pretty much every single line of code, you put a semicolon on the end in C++. Except if you've got if statements and you're starting loops. But pretty much, we'll go over that later. But basically, as a rule of thumb, put a semicolon after every line, and if it doesn't work, take it away. So it basically tells the computer, obviously, that it's the end of a logical line. And basically says to C++, okay, this is the end of a line, the next line is a new line, basically. And pass it as another line. So, there are some basic data types. For example, int, which is, well, a data type. For example, if I just grab my little trusty pen, come on, work, here we are, felt tip pen. So if you write the data type and then score, for example, equals whatever you want. So basically, whatever we're putting on this underline is the data type, and it tells the computer what is score going to hold, what type of thing. So the one we used in our example was int, which is an integer or whole number. So it can go to like from down to like negative 34,000 and something up to positive 34,000 or something ridiculous like that. But basically whole numbers really. You can extend the range by putting like long int and stuff instead of just int. But basically we don't need to worry about that now. We're not going to be dealing with things above about 34,000 really at the moment, are we? So the next basic data type is a string. And a string is some text that you can put on the screen. So if I wanted to write, for example, hello world on the screen, as we saw in the last episode, we have C out, and then the two little angle brackets, and then hello world in quote marks. The quote marks basically say that it is a string, or a string of text. So that's all you need to know about that. The next one is a float, which is a decimal number. So like 3.14, just giving you an example. Obviously that is the mathematical number pi. And then the final one is bool, which is not even a word in English, but it's a boolean, which basically means it can either be true or false. So if you wanted to see like whether the player is jumping, you would have a boolean that says, is he jumping? Yes, so that's true. So yeah, we're going to be using all of these in our programming. So obviously, let's begin programming. I'm going to be using C++, again, NetBeans, and the Semicolon compiler. So I'll see you in a bit once I've fired up my compiler. So guys, I've created a project, again, tutorial 03 in NetBeans, and my source file, main.cpp, I'm going to open now. And yeah, sorry that computer is so incredibly slow. We'll just remove all of that. And we're going to program from the start. Okay, if you want to have a bit of a quiz, what do we write on the first line to make our computer know that we can input and output from the console? If you got it right, it is this. Include IO stream. So that's going to be our first line. How do we say that we're using the standard namespace? If you got it right, it should look like this. Like that. So, we've got hashtag include IOStream using namespace std. And how do we make a main function? It's like this. So if you got that right, then well done. You've remembered the last episode. So basically, int main, blah 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 blah. You can use void, but it's just so much easier to use int, just because of things and awesomeness. Yeah, because I'm amazing. So basically, we're going to be using data types, obviously, and those are. Oh, by the way to comment that won't be actually read by the compiler, it will just be like almost a blank line. You just do // and then you type the code afterwards. So we're going to be using data types. Oh gosh, why is it lagging? Okay, using data types int, bool, float, string. So basically, all of this will not have any impact on the compiler, and it will go to the end of the line. So you can have stuff before it, and it will be read, but anything after it won't be read by the compiler. So if we just run it, and because it's just returned 0 and everything's normal, I think it will still crash, because I haven't updated the thing for like the new project. So we'll just wait for it to fail, and then I'll again tell you how to fix it. Come on. Come on. Just wait for it to build this, because then it won't have to rebuild it again. And then to run it again, it's going to say build failed. It's going to say run failed because obviously input output error. Project properties tutorial 03. You go run, and then you click standard output there. Apply. Okay. Run again. Okay. So basically, all it's going to do is just return 0, because it is just going to return 0. So run successful. Ta-da. Yeah. Anyway. We're going to have some code in here. Blank lines, by the way, do not matter. So, yeah. So we're going to define a variable. Let's call it, I don't know, let's just have a variable XYZ. Actually, let's just have one called A, one called B, one called C, one called D, just because, yeah, because I want to. And, okay, so, we're going to have a variable A, which is going to be an integer, or a whole number. So, all we need to do is write int A equals, I don't know, 15, semicolon. Easy, variable initialized. And if you're wondering why it's got the grey squiggly line under the A, it's because we have not used A in anything else yet. So it's just like, why do you even need this line? It's not used anywhere. Why do you even need it? Well, we're going to use it. So if we do int A equals 15, gosh, no, I didn't want anything. Okay, so int A equals 15, and then underneath we write the next line, cout, as you should remember from last episode, A. So cout A. So all this does, cout A, basically will print A on the screen. So if I build and run this, then literally all it is going to do is it's going to display right down here 15, because that is what the value of A is. So it has written out 15 onto the screen, so that's your first variable initialized. Well done, you. So that's not much. So anyway, next one is the string. So if we do string B equals hello world, obviously semicolon at the end of the line, and again it's like that because we haven't used hello world yet. But if I do this, we will get a problem because I've got cout B and cout A like that. We'll have a problem. Guess what it is? The problem is we haven't told it to go onto a new line. So it will just say 15 hello world without any spaces or any new line or anything. So what we do to prevent that is at the end of this cout statement, you write another one of these, which will basically mean you do A and then you write whatever's here, and then you do this end L, or end line. So basically it's good to get in the habit of putting, whenever you have a cout statement, to put end L at the end of it. Or if you're not using this thing, which is really, really useful, but if you're not using this line, then you would have to do std end L. But because we're amazing, we don't need it. So now, if you compile and run it, it should work. And, yeah, thanks. 3, 2, 1. Hopefully, 1. I said 1. Thanks. Okay, let's run. Run 15, then a new line, then hello world. Whoopee. Just gonna, yeah, everything's running. Sorry. Anyway, so now we've got int A equals 15, cout A. Let's do another one. Let's do a float. Float C equals 1. That's not going to work, I don't think. I haven't used floats that much, but I don't think that will work. I'm just gonna check because I don't use floating point numbers that much. No, it does work. Normally, I think you need to put 1.0 to make it initialize as a floating point number, but maybe that's just in Java or some random number. Anyway, let's say that this floating point number is, just for the sake of stuff, 3.14. Because that is pi, and I like pie. Cheese pie. Well, not cheese pie. I just made that up. Anyway, yeah, 3.14. Next line, cout C. Obviously, end L. Because we're getting into that habit now, so we've got to do it. So, if we run this again, I know we're building and running this a lot of times, but it's just to reinforce knowledge of what all of this does. So now we have on the screen 15, hello world, and 3.14. Now we can do something pretty cool, actually. I'm going to show you to do maths. Okay, so basically, if I want to write, what is A plus C? 15 plus 3.14. Because they're both sort of types of number, you can add them together. A string wouldn't work because that's not a number. So if I wanted cout A plus C. Yeah, I can definitely type. So if you wanted to do this, why is it not doing? Okay, that's better. Sorry. So if you put A plus C in, it won't write on the screen 15 plus 3.14 because the plus isn't a string, it's the actual text. And it says, I know what plus does. It adds numbers together. So it's going to be very clever, and it's going to add the numbers. However, I have absolutely failed. I meant to put another angle bracket there. Yeah, so that's a thing. Yeah, make sure you always do it right. Yes, so now we've got 15, hello world, 3.14, and then 18.14. Which is A plus C, obviously. So, let's go into another thing. So, the only one we haven't used yet is bool or boolean. So, if I have a bool D, I like that, is true, then C out D. Oh gosh, I didn't put end L, doesn't really matter, but I'll put it in just for the purposes of, because we're being amazing. But now, you see, true is represented by 1, and false is represented by 0. So if I output D, then it will output 1, not the word true, because it isn't a string. So, if I wanted to output... by the way, just a quick cool fact. An exclamation mark before something that is a boolean will basically invert it, almost. So if I do exclamation mark D, gosh, I can definitely press the spacebar. So if I do exclamation mark D, then what this will do is instead of saying true, what will it say? Yep, it says false. So it will say 1 for the true, and then it says 0 for the false. So it's a really cool use of boolean. So now you know how to initialize and declare. Well, that's the technical name for it. Declaring all of these variables and things. But I'm just going to show you one more cool thing, right? I'm just going to put another line in here, another end line, just because it's easy to see. Then you can also add strings together. So if you do string E equals, with a space bar, with a space in between. Also, welcome universe. I can spell welcome. Also, welcome universe. So it's like hello world. Also, welcome universe, and put a semicolon at the end of the line. I do know how to do C++. And then C out. B. And then E, because we haven't put an end line in between, then what this means is that it will do B and then E, and it won't put another line in between or anything. Basically, once it is built and run it, it should just wait for it to run, because it's being slow as normal. Come on! I have things to do! Videos to upload! Yeah. Thanks for loading files. Okay, now it's building and run. So now it says hello world, also welcome universe. And I forgot this again. I'm supposed to be teaching you, and I can't even write end L at the end of things. Oh well. Anyway, it's just me forgetting. Anyway, hello world, also welcome universe. So that is how you put strings together. You just write this insertion operator, and then they're joined, because joining is awesome. So that can also be useful. So yeah, that is pretty much all I have time for today. So of course, if you did like this video and you want to see more C++, then of course make sure to subscribe and like the video, comment any ideas for tutorials that you want me to do, and things that are just things that you want me to do, and awesome things. And yeah, I will see you all next time with tutorial 04, would you guess? And oh, I don't know what it's going to be about. Maybe I'll do other functions. Yeah, we'll do declarations of other functions. That'll be a cool topic. And recursion maybe in the next one. So, yep, see you all next time.